Member for Saanich North and Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When we hear about the Salish Sea, it's often in the context of the southern resident killer whale or the sockeye salmon. Both are iconic, both are endangered, and there is an overwhelming response in Saanich North and the islands when they're raised. Add the coastal Douglas fir to species that draw the attention of my constituents. A narrow strip of land circling the Salish Sea, including Greater Victoria and the Southern Gulf Islands, is known as the coastal Douglas fir biogeoclimatic zone. This zone is characterized by a unique geography, diversity of ecosystems that include unique wetlands, shorelines, and the Garry Oak Meadows. Over the last 4 years, my Islands Trust colleagues and I have heard from our constituents on the Southern Gulf Islands who want these sensitive ecosystems protected from clear cuts. Neither the Islands Trust nor the provincial government have the policy in place to stop clear cut logging from taking place in the area. It turns out the powers extended in the Local Government Act do not exist in the Islands Trust Act. My question, Mr. Speaker, is to the Minister of Municipal Affairs. Will the Minister amend the Islands Trust Act to allow local trust councils to implement and enforce bylaws to regulate tree cutting?
Minister of Municipal Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the member for the question. It's an honor to rise in this House and receive my first question as the Minister of Municipal Affairs. And as those in this House know, I'm a passionate advocate for local governments, for families, and for the environment. And I appreciate this question very much because I know how much the member cares about this issue too. Mr. Speaker, the former government did not do enough to prioritize environmental protection, nor was enough done to ensure that communities had say in how their forests were managed. And this government is focused on making different choices to make sure that forests and biodiversity are there for generations to come. So, Mr. Speaker, I did have the opportunity to recently meet with the Islands Trust. I commended them for the excellent work that they're doing and heard them, listened to them to gain insight into their proposal. And we have committed to further discussions. So, Mr. Speaker, again, thank you to the member opposite for the question.
Member for Saanich North and Islands on supplemental.
Thank you to the Minister for the response. Clear-cut logging is having a dramatic effect on the landscape of the Southern Gulf Islands. It's having a detrimental impact on the environment and Gulf Island neighborhoods. Public information campaign is underway and Gulf Islanders have been demanding accountability from their elected officials, and they should. As the Coastal Douglas Fir Conservation Partnership website highlights, the CDF zone is, quote, home to the highest number of species and ecosystems at risk in BC, many of which are ranked globally as imperiled or critically imperiled, end quote. For more than a decade, the Conservation Partnership has included all levels of government, ENGOs, landowners, and industry, and yet the clear cuts continue unregulated. At the Islands Trust Council meeting in September 2020, a motion was passed by Council requesting the province give the Trust the power to create the tree cutting bylaws like a municipal government has. They've asked for these powers through their council table. So again, Mr. Speaker, to the Minister of Municipal Affairs, every day we delay is another day that these endangered ecosystems are at risk. Will the Minister commit today to urgently amend the Islands Trust Act as per the request of the Council, and when can the Council see to have the power to create tree cutting bylaws?
Minister of Municipal Affairs.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And again, I know just how much coastal communities care deeply about forests, about waters, about wildlife, about biodiversity. And Mr. Speaker, as a former marine biologist myself and a resident of a coastal community, I resonate and understand these concerns. So, Mr. Speaker, again, I really appreciated sitting down and talking with representatives from the Islands Trust about this issue. The member opposite knows how much I care about this, and I definitely invite him. My virtual office door is open, and I'm happy to discuss this with him further. So, Mr. Speaker, again, I'm committed to continuing to work with my colleagues. This government is listening to communities, understanding their concerns, and we are here to work with them, and I welcome the opportunity to discuss this further. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.